What do you think about artificial sweeteners?
Great question. Do we have time?
Because I just started using them when I
Yeah.
became pre-diabetic, but I know they're controversial. So
Artificial sweeteners, in my opinion, are better than sugar. So is a Diet Coke better than a regular Coke? I would say yes. Is a Diet Coke worse than water? Yeah. And so, you know, I think stevia, I wouldn't even call that an artificial sweetener. I would call that a natural, calorie-free sweetener. That would probably be the best one. A lot of people don't like the aftertaste of that. And then, the American Diabetes Association and most mainstream authorities, nutrition authorities, would say there's not that much research to say that artificial sweeteners are much of a problem. And you'll get some experts who have very strong feelings against them and say that's probably worse than sugar. I mean, they are made in a laboratory, and no one would be surprised if we learned down the road that they're worse than we realized. And there is some research to say it promotes insulin resistance. It's not good for your intestinal bacteria. Is it better than sugar? Probably. I mean, we should all. So, but if it helps you reduce your sugar intake, I think that's it. So I have mixed feelings, and I would say there's a middle ground when it comes to artificial sweeteners. It's not the worst thing, but
Right.
it's
I mean,
not
if
the
you
best
need it for
thing.
your coffee to transition, then I mean, I had to with my lattes, I had to go from 4 pumps of vanilla in it. And then I knew I needed it in there, but I needed to gradually get myself off of the sugar. And now I just drink plain coffee, fresh ground, no matter what. I don't want anything in it, actually. It tastes really weird with any sort of sweetener. But I'm curious, I was a big fan of monk fruit sugar. And then I discovered that now, before it seemed pure, but now they're putting in, is it erythritol, which I'm concerned about even the name and its potential to cause harm because it's manufactured, I would imagine.
Erythritol is a controversial sweetener, but it wasn't very controversial a year ago. So monk fruit, right? There's an extract of the monk fruit that's very intensely sweet. Let's say it's 600 times sweeter than sugar. And you can't just put you can't just put monk fruit extract into a packet because it would be so minuscule that you wouldn't be able to see it there.
Mm.
So they mix the monk fruit extract with other stuff so that you can fill a packet of, like, you've seen a packet of monk fruit is 99% erythritol and 1% monk fruit extract. And much of the sweetness is coming from the monk fruit extract because it's so intensely sweet. But to add bulk, they use other sweeteners, especially erythritol. So erythritol is absorbed and then into the body, and then it leaves into the urine. So you excrete erythritol in the urine, and until a year ago, no one could find any problem with that, any safety issue. But about a year ago, some researchers found that it can slightly raise the risk of blood clotting if you are already prone to blood clots. So, for example,
Good
if
to
you
know.
have peripheral artery disease, the last thing you need is to raise your blood clotting risk. And it's a dose related. So the amount of erythritol, which people are getting from monk fruit packets, or just using erythritol as it's not that rare of a sweetener. It might raise the risk of clotting slightly. So for a regular healthy person, it's probably a non-issue. But for someone with peripheral vascular disease, I'd stay away from erythritol, which means they should avoid monk fruit because that's really mostly erythritol.